Hey, it's Joe Adams here. I just want to give you a quick warning. This episode features content that describes pretty in-depth suicide and self-harm content. And for those that are sensitive to this stuff, we just want to give you a heads up. Thank you.
What is up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and welcome to the Relentless Pursuit podcast. As always, we got my man Logan Hyder of Cinema 83 and a half co-hosting, doing his thing.
Doing the stuff.
Yeah, doing the stuff.
Hitting the buttons. What'd you say last night? Hitting the buttons and stuff?
Hitting the buttons
like
and
that?
pressing the things, yeah. And, so Logan's here, and, this is a pretty crazy week. I mean, obviously, you won't know about this till the episode, but, yeah, a few in a row. A few powerful episodes in a row, all ladies.
Yep. The three ladies that you see, we went back-to-back yesterday, today, and then tomorrow we have another.
Yeah, all with pretty wildly different stories, but powerful stories. But we'll get to that. That being said, let me introduce to you my friend Cassie Davis.
Oh boy. Hello.
What's up?
Cassie, welcome. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. So Cassie just got in from Jacksonville, Florida today.
I'm trying to do this one for
the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. She's visiting some friends and whatnot.
Well, it's plays a big factor.
Yeah, we've been in touch since when? Like sometime
Plays a big role.
End of last year. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reached out to her about getting her up here. Obviously, there's some hoops.
It's been like 5 years since you've reached out and finally here.
I know, right? I know. Yeah, well, I haven't seen you since. A little bit of a backstory. So Cassie's from Jacksonville. We know each other from, how do we even explain it? The pagan world.
Yeah, I guess.
The wolf cult world. Essentially, I don't know. We met at a ritual back in I want to say it was January 2019.
Was it 19?
Because it was right after my accident,
That makes
right?
sense, yeah.
Yeah, it was right after my accident. I was on crutches.
Nice.
And I remember you helping me get down to the Bay in the snow because I was on crutches and you held like a flashlight so I could see.
Oh.
I think at one point going back up.
She's like, that's so sweet that you remember that.
I remember somebody guiding me down there, and then on the way back up, she was had a flashlight, and I was like, "Oh, thanks so much."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So thank you for that, Cassie.
Yeah, she's like, damn, didn't realize we were gonna start off with the.
Yeah, because my legs were fucked,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I could barely walk, so a little bit of help. It was nice.
That's awesome.
She guided my path. So thanks for that. I remember that. And and then I saw her off and on for some amount of time after that. I know that I also slept on your floor at the time.
That sounds...
weekend. Yeah. It was six other people, me and Jake and some others.
I remember that.
Yeah, slept on the floor. I slept on some couch cushions, and I didn't really sleep because I was just hurting. But anyways, I know. I remember all kinds of crazy little details.
I had mushrooms growing out of the bathroom wall at that place.
Like on purpose?
No.
No?
Oh,
No.
not
on purpose.
Not on purpose.
Like one day I get out of the shower, I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's a little tiny little mushroom.
Did you leave it?
Yeah, I left it.
You're like, oh, it's fungus.
Like
I guess it's good for the world.
a reminder, to get out of this apartment.
I hear that.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was a while back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So over 4 years since I first met you.
Really?
Yeah, and then
been a while.
I know, and then saw you off and on. I don't know when you kind of left that area. I want to say probably 2020 or something like that.
19. It was shortly after that.
2019. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I hadn't seen Cassie since.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get there. We're gonna get to the journey, Cassie. But real quick, what are you doing now? Just so people know what you got going on.
Currently, I am a therapist at an injury care center.
Okay.
Rehab facility. Not really rehab, but yeah, physical therapy.
Okay.
People get into a car accident or an athlete has an injury, they come to the center and we basically put them through a series of exercises, and depending on the injury, then we assess that. So yeah.
Interesting. Hell yeah. How do you like that?
Therapy. I like it. I like it a lot. Pay is not as fun as it is.
Yeah.
Pay is not that great, actually, but I really enjoy it.
At least you're enjoying it. I mean, that's the key, too. At least you can sit back and say enjoy it.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing to be, hating it and then not getting paid well.
Yep.
You're like, damn it.
That was my last job. I got out of there
Yeah.
quickly. But
Hey, it happens. Yeah. Well, so, all right, so you're doing that now. We want the audience to get to know you, get to know your background a little bit.
Okay.
So we like for our guests to, tell their backstory a little bit, like where you're from, maybe a little bit about your upbringing and whatnot, and and then we'll be guided into where you're at now today.
Okay. I don't even know where to start.
Where were you born?
Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh,
Born and raised.
nice. That's why you moved back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So grew up in Memphis and like your whole life?
Yeah, pretty much. The only time I left was going from when I graduated high school. I went to Ole Miss. Oxford, Mississippi is like an hour south of Memphis,
Okay.
give or take. And graduated in 15, then moved actually to Nashville I was here until I moved to Lynchburg, Virginia. I was in Nashville for, let's see.
A few years, right?
Yeah. I moved up to Lynchburg, I think, end of 2017, 2018.
Okay.
Around then.
Yeah.
Was there for a year and a half, almost 2 years.
That makes sense.
Moved back home to Memphis, and yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you go to Ole Miss for?
Yeah.
Exercise science.
Gotcha.
Hell yeah. That's what I do.
Were you into
My
sport?
degree.
Did you play a lot of sports and stuff growing up or anything like that?
I did. I ran, I ran track. I was a 100-meter hurdlist. Loved it.
That's awesome.
Loved it. I was also in the marching band.
Nice.
Side note, I know, you were like, sports. I played soccer. And what else did I do? I mean, besides lifting weights, I was a runner.
So an athlete all the way.
Yeah.
Hurdles are tough, dude.
Well, when I was younger, my sisters actually would, I'm the youngest of 3.
Gotcha.
And my sisters would pick on me and basically say, kind of, I was a little bit of a chubbier kid. Of course, everybody has this kind of story. They were chubbier when they were younger, they got picked on, and then, that drove them to, work on themselves, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to, I'm very, very, very competitive.
Of course.
So I love sports and working out. I feel like that's just part of my DNA, I guess. I feel like I got all the athletic genes, but I was very chubby and then got made fun of and then became an athlete. And, yeah.
Then you just started kicking ass at all the sports, and your sisters were like, oh.
So it's funny. My oldest sister, she got all of the brains and the musical talent.
Okay.
She could pick up any musical instrument and play it. Look at a sheet of music for about 5 minutes and then play it perfectly. Any instrument almost.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
She's very talented. My second oldest, Bailey, she also is very musically talented, and she actually double majored in biology and music at Stanford. Very smart.
Damn.
Nice.
Yeah, very, very smart.
Damn.
And then there's me.
The black sheep.
I just, yeah, I mean, I know I'm smart, but I'm not musically talented.
Yeah.
My mom might argue that point, but I feel like I got all of the athletic genes from both my parents. So.
Which is cool because you owned it.
Yeah.
And you took off with that.
Yeah.
Did you do anything, did you do any sports at Ole Miss or anything like that?
No. I did work with the strength and conditioning coaches at Ole Miss. That was fun.
Yeah.
I worked with the track and field team, the baseball team, the softball team, and the soccer team.
That's awesome.
I think that'd be a pretty cool, something I looked at a while back. Obviously, is getting into strength and conditioning for athletics, university athletics, just because you
Yeah.
to get them jacked and
teams,
strong
yeah.
and
Yeah.
efficient and all that stuff. That's pretty cool. So are you pretty close to your family now?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for the oldest sister. Not really. Yeah.
but just butt heads.
There's that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, yeah. There's a lot to unpack there. Not that I don't want to. It's just, yeah, it's not exciting or juicy or anything. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. But at the end of the day, it is part of your story. So feel free to elaborate on it if you choose to.
Okay.
So moving forward.
I was just gonna say, what about parents? Like,
Yeah, what about your parents?
Oh, they're both still in the picture. They're not together. They got a divorce when I believe I was 5. It's like the only thing I like really remember vividly at like such a young age. You don't really remember a whole lot, right? You might remember riding your bike, or you might remember stories that your mom told so many times that you think you remember as your story, as your own experience. Yeah. No, but this was my actual experience. I remember it very vividly. But yeah, they got a divorce when I was around 5. Nothing bad or traumatic happened, but they just, I guess, grew apart.
But obviously that played a pretty negative effect, and you can't not forget that.
Yeah.
It's your parents.
Yeah. It was like the first time ever seeing my dad cry ever. Yeah. It's pretty sad. But yeah, so my mom actually got remarried when I was I met my best friend in 5th grade. Her name's Keely.
Still your best friend now?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so I met her in 5th grade. It's funny, actually. Kicked her in the head with a soccer ball. Knocked her down.
How all great friendships start.
Right. We were at recess in 5th grade. Went up to her, picked her up, and I was like, I'm really sorry. She was like, it's okay. I said, I'm Cassie. She's like, I'm Keely. We're like, all right, let's be friends. So we became best friends, and then we started hanging out, and then my mom married her dad.
Damn.
Interesting.
Yeah, Brady Bunch. So she's the oldest of 3, right? I'm the youngest of 3, so it's like the Brady Bunch, except there's one boy, and that's him right there. So, yeah.
Yes, I love the display.
I typically have to do that because people are like,
with the
carry the
he
one.
with,
I'm like, well, here.
No, it made sense. I would have been confused otherwise.
Yeah, because people don't really remember names. Like they're like, what?
Yeah, which finger was it?
Yeah,
That's better.
It's that one.
Yeah,
That's wild that
Which
that
finger?
ended up happening, like with somebody who like ended up becoming your best friend anyway. Like,
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So everybody shared a room. I shared a room with Keely. My 2 older sisters shared a room, and then Kian and Carson, bless her heart. She's the youngest. She shared a room with Kian, my brother, only boy, for I don't know how many years, but sharing a room with your brother. I never share a room with her. I mean, with him. He's pretty gross. I love him.
I can
Boys
attest to
growing
that.
up, they're pretty gross.
yeah. I mean,
I can attest to that one. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
So you said you met her at recess, and then they got married. Was that how quickly was that when like you met them and then
6th grade. So she and I were in 6th grade, so like 2 years ish.
Gotcha. It's so interesting that y'all were friends for a while before your parents ended up getting married. That's so nuts.
Yeah.
Y'all were just like, they're getting married. This is so cool. We get to be
Like a little parent
roommates.
trap situation or something. Like
Well, we were actually climbing a tree in the front yard, and Keely went back inside to get something. I don't know. No idea. But she came out running full force. He proposed. And we were like, yes.
That's awesome.
Finally.
Secured.
Yeah.
Secured.
You're already like planning. Oh, you're already planning out like what your room's gonna look like. All right, so we're gonna be like, I'm putting this stuff over here.
Yep.
Like
I mean, that was already established pretty much. Yeah.
Just the positive parts of Step Brothers, like the movie Step Brothers,
So
without
much
the
room
fighting
for
in the front.
activities.
Yeah.
We even had bunk beds, so that's
perfect.
valid.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah,
That
I love
applies.
that. So moving forward, what brought you to Nashville? Change of scenery.
Did you got your degree from Ole Miss, right?
I did.
Gotcha.
And so you went from Ole Miss directly to Nashville, or Memphis to Nashville?
I moved back to Memphis briefly. You know, 'cause you graduate and you move out of the apartment. I moved out of the apartment, and I was at home for probably like a month or two, maybe.
Were you trying to were you looking for maybe opportunity or job or whatever? Did you have something lined up?
I can't even remember, to tell you the truth. I know that one girl I went to college with, I was really good friends with, she wanted to move to Nashville, and I think I wanted to move to Nashville. And we're like, let's just move to Nashville. I can't remember if I had a job lined up or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I figured, hey, Nashville's fun. I want to see about living there.
Yeah.
And
Good old Nash Vegas, baby.
Yeah, before the cost of living here is like an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
Freaking insane.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I like being out away from the city, but so I'm curious because obviously we know a lot of the same people. How did you how did you get to know everyone that we know, such as Sky and Jake and them? How did you get
how'd you guys
because at
end up
some
meeting?
point when you're in Nashville, I don't know what you were doing in Nashville, you had a job or something, and then obviously we've kind of met through the same avenues. So.
Somehow we are
Yeah.
paths crossed. So I met Sky. Sky kind of introduced me to the whole thing, kind of. I started working for a gym here in Nashville, Hotbox Fitness.
Okay.
I think I saw it, or somebody told me about it. I went and took a class, and then I was like, I want a job here. I want to work. I want to teach classes. And they were like, all right, well, okay. So we started working towards that, and then became a strength coach. Sky was a kickboxing instructor there and a strength coach there at the time, and I looked up to him because of his knowledge and how he taught classes. And I thought it was different than everybody else. So I was like, he has some knowledge that I want to learn from him.
Of course.
So that's how I met Sky. And then I guess he opened the gym. Fast forward, he opened Vengeance. And then...
By the way, just for a little context, who is Sky?
It's a mutual friend that he's got a gym. He had a gym and has a gym in Nashville. He's doing his thing now. I haven't talked to Scott in a while, but
I'm actually probably going to see him probably tomorrow.
Gotcha. But that's probably where it started, the connection that ended up with you guys connecting, basically.
well, because him and Jake were close, and so I met Jake, and then you met Sky. So and then
Gotcha.
And that's how I met Jake.
Jake kind of got me
Gotcha.
out there in Virginia, and then same for you.
I know I say this all the time, every time Jake gets brought up, but I just think it's so nuts that him and Jake were born in the same hospital, on the same, probably the same doctor.
Yeah, I remember you guys talking about that.
Nuts.
That is nuts.
I just
old
don't,
Jake,
what are the
my boy.
chances, dude? But anyways,
Here we are now.
it's so weird. What?
Got out of the Air Force at the same time.
It's not like you both grew up in Tampa either. It's,
Went to the same college. Just crazy shit.
So weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
Wow.
I met Jake at a Watain show in Atlanta.
Yeah, they just met
Nice.
at a random show.
Yeah. And then 2 days later, I see him walking across campus. I'm like, hey, dude, I remember you.
Nice.
And then we
That's
just
so weird.
started riding motorcycles together and shit. And it's just
It's
kind
like,
of
wait,
crazy.
you were born where? At what hospital?
Yeah.
With what doctor? What are the
It's
chances?
wild how
dude?
things play out.
That is
you know?
wild.
So,
Are we going to be best friends?
and we're close as shit.
Yeah.
He's my brother. So, but
So Sky, you said you met Sky, and then we were talking about that when I interrupted. I was just trying to get a little
No, you're
context.
good. I'm actually glad that you guys chime in, or else I would do one of these. I would trail
I was
off,
just trying to get a little context on
and you
the.
kind of bring me back down.
we just put our
the
mics
group.
away and just be like, it's all on you.
Yeah.
Roll with it.
Oh, people would be like, where's she going with this?
Yeah. Now we wouldn't succeed anyways because most people would probably be like, "What the hell?" They get you drift off. I mean, we that's the cool thing, and I got to emphasize this because some people come in with expectation where the guest is just going to be speaking the whole time. And they're like, "Well, the guys talk," and it's like we're having a conversation. We're getting to know people, and I know you, but I don't know you. I don't know your story and stuff like that. Right. So it's really cool to keep it conversational, and on top of that, it makes the guest extremely comfortable,
Correct,
and more vulnerable, and willing to share.
To give
a
and
lot
take.
more. You know what I'm saying? So
For sure.
it is what it is. Anyways, so glad we're able to chime in on you.
So you started working at Hotbox, right? That's kind of what we're
I
talking
did.
about.
Yep. Yeah. So hold on, I lost my train of thought. Hotbox.
Hotbox, Sky, kickboxing.
Yeah. So I I was able to train myself, right? But I felt like I needed somebody to train me. And I was like, well, okay, Sky, very knowledgeable. I feel like based off of the results he's getting, obviously he's a guy, totally different than a female. But I saw his clients and how they were progressing. Excuse me. And so I wanted him to train me. So he became my personal trainer and learns a lot.
And this is at Vengeance or still at Hotbox?
Still at Hotbox,
Okay.
actually. This is before I think he made the jump. Actually, I can't remember what happened, but something happened where, and I don't want to speak out of context or say something that's not true, but from what I remember, he got let go because of something really stupid, obviously, something somebody said that was like, oh, it's, racist or,
It was like one of those type of situations.
yeah, it was like he's sexist and racist and,
It's like a cancellation type thing.
yeah.
Yeah, well, it's people just being sensitive to like, if it's basically probably a statement that not everybody agrees with, and they got upset about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gotcha.
I mean, and
It's corporate too. I believe that's like a franchise, correct?
Hotbox, I think so.
Hotbox Fitness, I don't think so.
Oh, well, maybe not.
There's only one.
Oh, really?
There's only one from what my understanding.
So what was the
Unless
next
they
place? The
expanded.
Vengeance place? Is that about that's a boxing place too, or?
No, so that's kind of like what you've built here.
Yeah.
Vengeance is like it's a private gym that Sky opened, and it was more like he had the class style, and I helped him out with the gym. I kind of helped put the whole thing together, cleaning out the place, and he took me under his wing, and I was watching him train people, and he trained me, and we worked out together. And that kind of grew my love even more for training people. So I became a personal trainer. He was like, if you don't continue to educate yourself and do this and this, like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, dude, you're right. So I did the whole strong first barbell, kettlebell thing. We took the class together, got my certification, and then I started training people out of Vengeance. And so it's called Vengeance Strength Club. Opens in East Nashville. Of course, the opening day was somebody caught wind of it that's has very thin skin, I'll just say. And it was on the news, and
Yeah.
Like because of what the thing before.
Yeah, long story short, it was, because it's all counterculture stuff, and it just people
I
don't
gotcha.
agree with him, and then so at the end of the day, it's just like it got blasted in a negative way.
Gotcha.
people take the one thing,
Right.
they twist it, and then they run with it.
So they did
In
that
the
like,
wrong direction.
right before you guys were about to open, is what you're saying, or the day of?
Well, they had a
or-
protest, actually.
Oh, really? Wow.
Or the opening day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I'll show you about it. I'll tell you all about it.
Yeah.
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 Gotcha.
Good times. Good times.
But you still could progress forward, and so you were training there by the time it opened, and that was a success for you for a bit, or?
Yeah. I liked it a lot. I was training. It was so funny. I had like 3 jobs. I was a hostess at a restaurant in East Nashville, full time. I was a personal trainer on the side, and I also taught strength classes at Hotbox still. So I was doing all 3 of those and training myself.
You know what's crazy is like I saw you there. I worked out with Jake one time, but we didn't really interact.
Did you just not put that?
Yeah, I just
saw
remember
a
like
light bulb
I saw Cassie at that gym because I went there and worked out
I
with
just
Jake.
saw a light bulb go off over there.
And I was like, wait, I do remember seeing Cassie there.
on
but
my
I totally forgot
peripheral
about that.
vision, I saw ding. I was like,
No shit. Yeah,
it's crazy.
crazy stuff.
Yeah. So,
What
yeah.
what time period is this, like year wise?
2017.
17. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah,
Gotcha.
2017-ish.
And you
I
mentioned
think.
this a little bit, but what kind of trainer were you doing? Like, were you doing like strength training? Were you doing like for your clients?
Strength training. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. People want to lose weight. They, So I kind of helped them with that, and I didn't get into the whole meal planning for them. I was more gearing towards the training aspect of it.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyways. So,
Well, yeah. So moving forward, so you obviously you were doing that there for a bit, and then eventually somehow you end up in Virginia, moving there for a little bit of time, and then I just remember like you're not being there no more. At some point, and then like not too long after that, things changed a lot for you. So I'm curious, you can elaborate on as much as you want to, or brush over it. What brought you to Virginia? What kept you there? And then, share as much as you want.
what brought me to Virginia? Okay, so you're aware.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we somehow got connected via Instagram. Then I met him in person. Long story short, we started dating. I moved to Lynchburg, Virginia with him. And gosh, I think we connected over obviously training and motorcycles. And I moved to Lynchburg, Virginia. Worked with a lot of women there, trained a little bit. He opened the jiu-jitsu gym.
Yeah.
And long story short, that relationship didn't end very well.
Yeah.
So that's why I moved back to Memphis.
Yeah. So it's just a crazy season because that's like quite the adjustment in Nashville to Lynchburg for a bit. And then in that world, just so different. And then back to Memphis. Yeah. And
With the motorcycle thing, I just wanted to ask real quick, because you mentioned that earlier about how you still ride now, and you said you connected with him with the training and motorcycles. You talked a lot about the training aspect. Was motorcycles something you were always interested in?
Well, yeah. I didn't know that I had a big interest in it until I met Matt.
Gotcha.
My dad had a Harley growing up. I was always fascinated by him. Always wanted one. Always wanted to learn how to ride.
yeah.
And it's funny. So that's where I guess that came from. I started selling Harleys in Lynchburg, Virginia, and that's kind of what sparked my
Really got it going for you.
yeah and
Your passion, I guess.
Yeah, and that's one of the job that I had lined up for me when I moved to Memphis.
Yes, you're doing so good. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thanks. It's weird, one, recording a podcast, two, being able to hear myself so intimately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't know. I'm sure are aware. Like, my speech is completely different
yeah.
because I'm missing like half of my tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's weird. It is weird hearing myself.
Yeah.
Because I have a lisp and that I don't know. Yeah. Anyways.
Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That makes sense for sure.
Life.
Yeah.
Makes sense for sure.
You accept
But
it.
you're
and
doing
roll.
great.
You accept it and roll with it. You know what I'm saying?
You are doing great.
It's
Alright,
just
guys.
it's just good.
You're perfect.
All right. Well, we got a segment, and then before the next segment, we'll turn our phones off so FEMA doesn't like brainwash us and like cause us to turn into like zombies. Go eat people next door.
While we record.
Just kidding. Not the female alert. FEMA
Yeah.
alert.
Like female.
We don't, there's chicks. we all have a female alert on our phone. Yeah, it's crazy.
Scary.
It'd be kind of weird for each of us for different reasons,
Scary people. All
Alrighty.
right. So you're talking about, so you moved to Virginia, went through a hard breakup, back to Memphis, and then you got lined up with a Harley dealership there. And I find that interesting because after my motorcycle wreck, I was in contact with you about getting a custom bike done. Remember that?
So when you
I
were,
think I remember that. I have a terrible memory, by the way.
I remember you saying that you were about to do that.
Yeah, I was like, hey, Cassie, I want to get a fucking road glide, blacked out, with like the
remember that.
best speaker. I was going to go like
Yep.
balls to the wall. On
I
this
remember
motherfucker.
that.
And she was like, she sent me like the quote and everything. She's like,
He
send me
said she was like,
$1,000,
yeah.
send $1,000. It was like, send $1,000 and we'll order it.
Yeah.
Because it had to be like custom. And I was like, all right. And I slept on it. And I was like, I've talked about this before. And I think it comes back to around like, I was super stoked to ride again. But then I thought about like what the experience that my mother went through and like my sister when they got the call. I was like on a life flight, right? And like my dad and stuff. And like
You thought past the initial.
Yeah, I thought past like my
Want.
personal desire to like ride bikes, and I thought about them and like what they had to experience, and it really fucked me up. I'm like, damn, I couldn't imagine getting that call about my kid one day or something, you know? And so I was just like, yeah, good. And then now the desire is gone, you know, and I've found a lot of fulfillment in so many other ways. And now it's like, oh, yeah, there's a bike, cool. You know, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, it was a chapter 2 in my life as well.
I still have that void that I have to fill with a motorcycle.
What, you still what?
I said I still have that void that I have to fill with a motorcycle.
Yeah. Hey, that's understandable. I mean, different experiences, right? Yeah. So I think it's just like my train of thought there. But yeah, she was going to hook me up. And then I didn't do it, so I apologize for not making that sale happen. She's like, damn it, dude.
I hadn't even thought about that.
She was
now
like,
that you said that.
I remember her texting me and be like,
I was one sale away from my...
Yeah, that commission was going to be so good, Joe. That's what she said.
Never.
I'm joking.
So you moved back to Memphis, you were working at the Harley dealership. And then take us from there.
Okay.
How was that? So this was like, you said you'd always kind of been interested, but then you started getting into the business of selling them. And then you had this job. So that was still a relatively pretty exciting thing, or did you enjoy it?
This is probably like 2020, right? Or like beginning of 2020 into 2019?
2019, November 2019 was when I started working at the Harley dealership in Memphis. Right. I'm going to be brutally honest. I didn't know anything about sales. I didn't go to school for it. I went to school for, building muscle and whatnot. So sales was not my alley, even though anybody in my family will tell you different. Like, no, your sales, you can take sales and run with that. You'd be really good at it.
Some people just got it, yeah.
Yeah, I hate people, so that doesn't make any sense. But anyways, so yeah, I didn't know much, but I knew that I was trainable. So I was like, give me the tools, train me, and I'll be like one of your best employees. So that's kind of what happened. And then there's another dealership about, 20 miles south. It's in Mississippi. And my all-time favorite dealership ever. I'm actually going to go see all my people there. I'm really excited.
What's it called?
Southern Thunder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool name.
Yeah. It's in South Haven.
Yeah. Some people call me that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go by Southern Thunder at times.
That's okay.
Don't worry about it.
No, that's someone you should have freaking. That's someone you should have picked it. Southern Thunder. That's great.
Yeah. So the guy I was working with at the Memphis dealership, he trained me. And then he kind of got a call from Southern Thunder and was like, he knew the general manager there. And she was like, we need people. We need salespeople.
Yeah.
So he was like, well, I'm not coming unless I can bring her because she's going to be really good. So that's what happened. We made the leap in 2020.
Okay.
August 2020, I believe. It was like right after COVID.
This is when you started working at that dealership?
I got furloughed from the one in Memphis. I'm sorry, backtracking. It's not really relevant, but COVID, went to the beach, stayed on there for 6 weeks or so.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My parents own a condo down there in Perdido Key. And since I got furloughed, I'm like, well, why would I stay here in Memphis doing nothing, twiddling my thumbs? My mom was down at the condo, like, I'm going to go hang out with her at the beach. And then people kept canceling, and she was like, guess we're staying another week.
Yeah.
We're staying another week. So finally everything opened back up, came back to work for not very long until we made the leap to Southern Thunder. And there, things really took off for me in sales and selling Harleys.
Where did you say that was again? You said South Haven?
South Haven, Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so you're doing that like into 2021, correct?
Yep.
And for a while.
No, end of 2020. August 2020, I did that until...
shit happened.
Yeah, until shit hit the fan, yeah.
So when you said it took off then, was that like a combination of like your experience and just that being an awesome dealership too, or that was?
Yeah, growing in the company. They made me a manager. I'm really proud of this, so I'm actually going to say it. I became number one in the company. There's 7. I think we were the 7th store owned by DEFCON Power Sports. Dale Rhodes, by the way, you should look him up. He is
Dale Rose.
Dale Rhodes, Rhoges, I believe. He is the coolest guy you will ever meet. Super smart and super down to earth. But anyways,
I'll look him up.
beside the point.
For sure.
But things took off there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And real quick, are you gonna sell Harleys anymore? Or?
I don't know. I'm at a point in my life that I want security. Mm-hmm. And when I mean security, I want to know what I'm bringing in every month.
Stability.
Yeah, stability. Yeah.
Rather than just like
sales
waves.
is kind of,
yeah.
But that's most places. Southern Thunder was not like that.
Yeah.
Well, it is sales, right?
Yeah.
But it was almost like you had to do absolutely nothing to make like the bottom of the barrel. Really? Yeah. If you busted your butt, you're gonna make pretty good money. They treat their people really well.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that's one of the reasons why I loved working there, is because they treat well.
Yeah.
They don't punish you for doing bad things. They have really good leadership. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm drawing a blank.
You talking about like?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Like they get
camaraderie, freaking.
Like get the
like
people.
they know how to keep and retain their employees and train them and help them
like
grow.
Chemistry and like
I know the term. I use it in the military all the time.
I know what you're trying to say too.
They have
morale.
Jail Rhodes has implemented great leaders into his businesses, and they have taken those dealerships and grew them.
I'm definitely glad that we touched on this though, because it sounds like this was like a really like you were.
Yeah, you loved it.
An assassin.
I mean,
you're like a Harley
passionate.
Davidson assassin.
I had, if you could have a picture perfect life of making really good money, being super likable, people know you, you have repetitive customers, you're making all sorts of friends, everybody loves you, you have perfect life, right?
Yeah.
But it was like one of those moments where, okay, that person had a picture perfect life from the outside, but they didn't really have that
internally.
Interesting.
And so that leads us into the next part of this all.
Yeah. Onto the flip side of the coin.
I'm trying to get a picture painted, obviously. So there was an attempt by yourself on your life, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, I want to go into detail about that, but first off, we kind of want to know where you were in that time frame before then. You talked about internally, and what led you to that point.
Kind of how we got there.
Yeah. I guess like what pushed you to this? What pushed you to trying to take your life?
It was a combination of a lot of things. I guess down to the root of it, I just didn't know how to love myself. I didn't know what that looked like. And I tried to find that love from other people. And I had that at work, because I didn't have to work hard for people to like me. But I was in a relationship at the time. That relationship didn't go very well.
Yeah.
I have, there's a pattern with me in my relationships, which thank goodness I've learned from.
Of course.
Thank goodness. Yeah. But I wanted that relationship to, I was relying on it to make me feel fulfilled.
Of course.
Because I would come home from work and I would just feel lonely.
Like were you and that person like living together or?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So I had my house and we actually worked together.
Oh.
He was a tech. He was working in the back. I was working in the front. And we met briefly, started hanging out, and like he jumped the gun. He was like, pun intended. Oh,
God. Honestly, I didn't even catch it.
I'll probably have more of those. So just heads up. But yeah, the relationship, he moved real quick. He was like, on the third day, he was like, I love you. And I was like, ooh, okay. Like, I like that. Like,
I was gonna say,
I like
for
that
what
you're
you
loving me, but
yeah.
even for me, that's like, well,
Yeah.
pump the brakes. Then he lived right around the corner from the dealership, and I did not. I lived right around the corner from the last dealership. So it was a little bit of a drive for me.
Yeah.
So at the point, he wanted me to move in with him. And I was like, we've known each other for like 2 months, maybe even a month, and I'm not going to move in.
I can't say shit. Lydia and I lived together in like 3 weeks.
I mean, it's
but
possible.
It works. Yeah, we're rare, but anyways.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But for me, I didn't think that was likely. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I moved in with him. I moved some of my things in. So I was kind of there full time. I go back to my house every now and then. Mm-hmm. But I kept my house, so I didn't move out. And I'm glad I didn't get rid of it because the relationship started going south. And I didn't know how to leave that relationship. So I stayed in it thinking like it'll change, or, you know, maybe I'm doing something wrong, or, you know, maybe I can fix it, or honestly, I can't exactly tell you what I was thinking. Yeah. I wasn't.
I've been there. Yeah.
But
I know that way of thinking for sure.
Yeah.
What was the kind of like, whenever you say it was going downhill, were you guys just like arguing, or like what was the?
Yeah. He would get a little drunk. And of course, I, at the time, didn't have a great handle on my drinking either. But we would drink together. We'd come home. He'd be exhausted. You know, at the very beginning of the relationship, you know, you have the honeymoon phase, but that real quickly, like, just stopped happening.
Yeah.
You know, point blank, I could be doing cartwheels naked in front of him, and all he would care about was like, you know, I'm too tired. I just want to watch TV and shut my brain off.
Yeah.
So I got to that point where I was like, okay, you know, this isn't normal.
Right. Yeah.
So the relationship kind of went downhill, but I still stayed in it. I don't know why. He even told me like, hey, yeah, but it's probably not going to work out. But we kept in contact, and he kept wanting to hang out with me. And so I thought in my brain, like, okay, if he's still wanting to hang out with me, maybe he changed his mind, you know? So I stayed in the relationship. We would go out, and he would get a little too drunk and would assume, like, if I started talking to another guy there, right? Or if I just started talking to somebody else, I wasn't giving him attention, he would think that I'm cheating on him, or like I had some ulterior motive, which was not the case. I just felt like, you know, he's not talking to me at all. I'm just like here.
Just being social.
Yeah. And I was like, well, if you're going to be, you know, social, then why can't I be social?
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't like flirting with guys. I was just trying to meet people.
Yeah.
Anyways, not going to go into detail. That's not the point.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's context to the situation because of the just
Yeah.
kind of what was going on in your head, what
Yeah.
you were feeling and thinking at the time, for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think it's just I kept putting myself in a situation where it was almost like I wish I could go back and like, why did you stay in that relationship? Like,
Yeah.
but I just, like I said, I didn't know how to love myself. If I knew how to love myself, then I would have left. So I would have been like, I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
You know, not that he did anything wrong or I did anything wrong. We weren't compatible.
Have you been able to pinpoint it all where like that came from? Your like not being able to love yourself like that?
A little bit, here and there. I know that doesn't really answer your question.
No, so I'm just curious because, like you said, it seems like that has a lot to do with a lot of the
Like maybe a
what we're talking
cycle of
about.
those kinds of relationships, or that probably takes a toll. That takes a toll on your heart over time, and it drains that love of yourself because that worthiness, or like, you know what I'm saying, like, well, I'm not good for enough for somebody else, and does that make sense?
Yeah, it could have been like experiences like that, or like was there like a root cause maybe that you're aware of, or just kind of curious. You're good. You're good. You're totally fine.
I don't want to say childhood, but that plays a big role in how you view relationships, especially with the relationship with yourself. Seeing your parents as role models on how to love another human and how to love yourself by how you show love to other people, and what you won't tolerate, like boundaries and whatnot. I didn't know what all of that was. Like, I didn't know what boundaries were. I didn't know, being okay to be alone. And I realized actually after the whole incident, that I have this attachment style. You have the anxious, there's two attachment styles, I believe, the anxious and the avoidant. Have y'all heard of that?
I haven't
kinda
heard
know
that
so-
specifically.
yeah.
No.
I kind of know what you're talking about, but
Yeah. But learning more about that made me realize, okay, well, my upbringing, I probably have the anxious attachment style because my dad wasn't around. And anytime he was around, the way he showed love was not, how do I put it? It wasn't like he didn't love me
It wasn't what you
in a right
needed.
way or wrong way, but I wasn't shown the aspect of, all right, I can find, how do I even put this?
Like the emotional.
Yeah, like how a man should treat, like based off of how my dad loves his daughters.
Yeah.
What kind of love are we to expect from a man?
Something I talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Having a daughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So if, daughters look up to their fathers for an X amount of things, right?
Yeah.
And being treated by a man and being loved by them properly is one of them.
And also seeing how their
believe.
father loves their mother, you
Right.
know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm big on that.
And since parents got divorced when I was little, they never fought. Well, I won't say never. Should never say never. But the fights weren't like fights.
Yeah.
More like just disagreements. But yeah, so
did your dad ever remarry you? Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
yeah. Oh, we love her.
Oh,
Gotcha.
sweet.
Cool.
We love her. Yeah.
Good. So circled around, and I think it comes back to, I'll talk about, a lot of times like people, especially past generations, there's like, they get married a lot quicker or they settle a lot sooner because that's what people did, right? And, nowadays people are more so like willing to like just like keep searching for exactly what they want because of that, right? Because I was called off 2 engagements to avoid going through a divorce. you know, and then met the right person. It just took time, you know. So
I'm really happy for you about that, by the way.
I appreciate that. Thank you so
It
much.
makes my heart so full.
Thanks. Hell yeah. I really do appreciate that. And that's there, you know, and it's out there. And
You deserve it.
Oh,
You deserve that too.
oh, thanks, Cassie. Jesus.
Yeah. Just say it.
Stop. You know, I guess so. I mean,
One
shit,
thing,
I don't,
one thing I just want to say too, while we're talking about you, I guess, is that that he does this thing. He talks about it a lot, but I've seen him do it too. And this was actually a social setting that we were in where this happened. But he was talking about how he holds Ozzy every day and like tells her he loves her, tells her he's proud of her, those kind of things. And we were at a social event at the same time, and he was talking to somebody else's dad about this, and the guy was just like thought that was the best thing ever. And we've talked about it because of the kind of things that we're talking about. It's like you have to. That's so important, and so many people don't do that. And I saw this thing one time, just real quick. This guy, basically, there was this guy in the military who was an issue, like with women. He would just womanize everybody and blah blah blah. And so this guy asked him, he's like, "Hey, I'm having a daughter. Like, what can I do to protect her from like men like you, basically?" And the guy was like, "Tell her you love her, or somebody else will that doesn't, and she'll believe him." Yeah. And I was like, "Dude."
you know,
That's pretty powerful.
Isn't it?
It is. And, you know, I talk about this all the time. And it's a prime example. It's like, you know, guys talk about like, oh, I don't want a daughter. Like, I don't want her to date some dude like me, you know? And I'm like, well, kind of
says a lot about you.
I definitely haven't had the best pass, and I'll acknowledge that. But like, no, I'm not going to be worried about when she dates a guy, because I know she's going to be extremely selective, because she's going to be raised with so much intention towards how I treat her and how I treat her mother. Yeah. And that's just going to be what she needs in order to go out, you know, on her own, right? So I don't really worry about it, because I know she's going to be she's going to have expectations, and, you know, I'm okay with that. So anyways, but enough about that.
Well, we were talking about that just because we were talking about kind of your.
Yeah, it was a good set. It was a good little side quest. But I know it's important to emphasize those things, because you see how, obviously, where we're getting to is how that can play such a massive effect on your future, and you know, and
especially at a teenage, teenage years, like that's when you have all the emotions and puberty and all the whole 9 yards. So
110%. Yeah.
So when they separated, was there what was the how often did you see each parent? My parents separated similar time frame, but there was a big geographical difference. So I'm just curious if you got to see them both a lot, or.
Dad at the time, FedEx pilot. He would fly during the week. Mom was a teacher. So I stayed with my mom during the week and got to see my dad on the weekends. Sometimes, not every weekend.
Gotcha.
So 2 days out of the week.
Oh,
gotcha.
You know, and sometimes, occasionally, I would be able to stay there a few more days during the week.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, well, so you're going through this relationship, and you're talking about how, like, you know, that's where it kind of stems from, ultimately, right? In a nutshell, like the cycle. So
I don't think it stems from it. I think.
Well, not necessarily, but that's a piece of it.
Yeah, like it was a
At the
catalyst.
flashpoint.
Yeah, because there's like that's kind of like the catalyst, and then there's all these other things that happen along the way that kind of add up and then cause a cycle, right? And so you're getting through this relationship. Obviously, it's not working out, and there's that toxic point to where like y'all are still hanging out, but you're not a thing.
Yeah.
So obviously, past that. Alrighty. So, yeah, you were asking what the question was, and it was really just so going through that like in and out relationship towards the end, right, and which led you to that point. Yeah.
Yeah, I just felt alone. So it's funny that we're recording this in October. Yeah.
Powerful month.
Yeah. A lot of things happened in October of 2021. But the ends of October, he came over to my house. And this was, of course, like 6 weeks to 2.5 months, maybe 2 months, where we kind of like were like, yes, it's not working, but he would still want to hang out with me, and it was just kind of like gave me the wrong idea. I got confused, anyways. But yeah, so I had been continuously putting myself in situations where I was coming home. Like, why was I doing that? I was coming home and just feeling alone. But at the end of October, he came over and I was getting ready for, it was a Friday night. I was getting ready for Saturday. Everybody was going to dress up in their Halloween costume. And I was getting mine ready. I was so excited. I was going to be Harley Quinn because I was Harley Quinn the year before that. Loved it. And he was like, you know, I want to go out. There's a party. He didn't work on the weekends, by the way. But he was like, yeah, there's a Halloween party that I want to go to. And I was like debating on whether or not I wanted to go or stay. And then for the last second, I was like, okay, I guess I'll go with you. Because I didn't want to be by myself.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be with him. And went out. He had pre-games before we even left. We drove over to our friend's house. Our friend drove us from there. And the party was fine. It was like a Halloween party, of course, costume party. And I didn't get drunk. I had probably 1 or 2 drinks, which is kind of beside the point. Well, it's kind of relevant. But I didn't have a ride.
Yeah.
But rewind a little bit. We're at the party, and like I said earlier, you know, he would get drunk, and if I'm over here playing pool with some people, trying to make new friends. You know, I'm a social butterfly, and he saw that and thought that I was flirting with other guys, and you know, he got a little aggressive, and I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna put up with this.
Yeah.
So I walked outside. It was a little, you know, I was in tears. Not like full on, but I was upset.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out how am I going to get home. And I had messaged my girlfriend, Madison, who I'm actually really excited to see in Memphis. She said that anytime that if I'm like stranded anywhere, that she'd come pick me up. And of course, so she came, picked me up, gave me a ride home. And she knew that I was upset. And she dropped me off at my house. And then I reached out to my ex and was like, you know, should you make it home? Or he's like, no, we're still at the party. And I said, well, do you need me to come get you? You know, because I'm home now. And he was like, nah, start calling me names and call me Sheer. And anyways, I won't get into that, but it like destroyed me.
Yeah.
And I think that I just was crying. Dark place.
Yeah.
And I had a 9mm SIG Sauer P365 for protection. Mm-hmm. It was 1:26 in the morning, and I had it sitting there on the bed, trying to figure out like if I was going to do it or if I wasn't. And I didn't think about anybody but myself. I didn't think about, you know, my parents, my family. I was just like, I want all of this to end. You know, because I just had the negative thoughts just spiraled, and I couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
And it honestly felt like somebody took over my body, like something else possessed me. And like, I even reached out to my ex, the guy I was with earlier that night. I even reached out to him like a cry for help, pretty much. You can call that attention. You can call it what you want. But it was a cry for help. And he, like, I guess he just sitting, he thought that it was more of like I'm trying to use him to get attention.
Yeah.
You know? Which a lot of people do that, you know.
Of course.
But yeah, it was a cry for help. Yeah, I took the gun, put it to my chin, and pulled the trigger. Fuck. Yeah. It felt like somebody just like went. Like uppercut really hard. Didn't feel anything. Just felt I guess, the punch of it.
Damn. So you like remember that feeling of that initial feeling of it.
Oh yeah.
So did it even knock you unconscious?
No, and I actually did it in front of the mirror. I was in my room. I did it in front of the mirror, but I didn't look at myself. Like, I was in tears, like, wondering what I wanted to do, but I was so mad. I was so mad that I was so mad at him, but looking back on it, I think I was more mad at myself that I couldn't remove myself from that relationship. And the whole situation, I do not blame him at all, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was my fault I stayed in the relationship. I should have left. He told me, it's not going to work out. I will say, I feel like he could have done a little bit better with, breaking it off and then stringing me along a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't blame him for anything.
Yeah, because ultimately you went back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was your choice.
Yep, it was.
Well, and that's probably, you get more power out of that.
Yeah.
Like, thinking about it that way. Like, because that's...
Yeah.
Well,
I've done a lot of exercises.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have to...
Yeah, a lot of people tend to, like, with those situations, like, or whatever it is, like, they went through something and it's like, well, I talked about my past relationship and I lost all this money and the house, all this stuff, but, like, guess what? I allowed that all to happen. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, like, I'm the one that stayed there,
Yep.
And it led me to where I'm at now, and I wouldn't change a thing. Mm-hmm. But, like, it's being able to accept, responsibility for whatever plays out, because we all make choices, right? Mm.
So where do we go from there? So, like, that happens and it doesn't even knock you unconscious, and so
you were like laying there like awake.
Yeah. Well, I stood there for a minute.
So you were standing even after?
Mm-hmm. I was standing. Yeah.
Oh my!
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep. And then I leaned up against my bed, and was just like, well, didn't work.
Fuck.
And I didn't think about, like, a lot of people have been like, why didn't you try again? Well, that wasn't going through my mind. I was like, that was kind of scary. I don't want to do that again. But since I'm already here, like, I can't really turn back now. So I laid back on my bed and, like, could feel that I was bleeding everywhere.
Yeah.
So I laid back on my bed and was trying to choke on my own blood. And it was just kind of like gory, but your body just wouldn't. My body wouldn't let me. Like, just it wouldn't. If you went and tried to drown yourself, you'd be like, you couldn't, right?
It's impossible.
Yeah. So I couldn't do it. So I was like, well, what do I do now? And then I realized, I don't want to die. I don't want to do it. And I sat there for a minute wondering what I was going to do. And I thought, okay, if I called 911, they're not going to be able to understand me because sorry, not to give you a horrible visual, but my jaw was hanging down here.
No, this is what I was imagining the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm like painting this in my mind, and I'm like, holy fuck. I mean, it's like, gives me chills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously my jaw's hanging here, can't really understand me. If I called 911, they wouldn't be able to know what I was trying to tell them. So I reached out to my friend, Madison, the girl who had given me a ride home that night. She also worked for Southern Thunder. We worked together. She was also in sales. And, she answered, and she was like, hey, like, you good? And I was trying to, I was crying, of course. I was crying the entire time because I was just like, I don't know. It was like the feeling like you have all this energy, you're angry, and you want an outlet, like you want to go just punch a bag.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's what I had. And the bag was my face, and the fist was a 9mm.
Yeah.
So, but I called her and was like crying. She's like, you okay? I said, no. And we FaceTime. But I didn't want her to see me because I knew that I just knew it was traumatizing.
Yeah.
Like something in me I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm not going to show her because it's traumatizing, but I just didn't want her, I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
And, but she did see a little bit.
Yeah.
But I said basically, gun, help. She's like, do you need me to call an ambulance? I said, yes. And she's like, you okay? I said, no. And I tried to say gun. I think she understood me. And so she was like, all right, hang on. I'm calling 911. So I sat there on the phone with her, crying until the ambulance came. And, you know, I didn't move from my bed. And the next thing I know, like, it took them like an hour to get there. Almost, yeah, about an hour. They had to break in my house, broke in the back door. And they come up, you know, I had my gun there because I was like, well, I don't want them to, you know, thinking, you know, I didn't want them to, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just had the gun there. So they, cop came up and, you know, yelled to everybody like, hey, like she's in here. And I was just crying. And then the next thing I know, like I passed out. I think I was holding on for somebody to find me.
For sure.
And then they carried me down the stairs. I kind of came to at that point, and they carried me down the stairs, put me on a stretcher, and took me to put me in the back of the ambulance. They grabbed one of my blankets because I was freezing, but I was just like, yep, this is it. This is happening. I just freaking blew my face off.
Did you feel anything at that point still?
Yeah, that's what I was curious. I mean, I'm kind of, I guess it's pretty interesting to think that the fact that you were thinking so sharply during this,
Yeah,
like you were able
100%.
to make phone calls and you're able to like
Yeah.
reach out to your friend and think, okay, I'm going to put my gun
Yeah,
here. Like you
yeah.
would imagine that like,
Never.
you know, you would have just been spaced the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't
That's
even
why
thought
everybody was like, you know, how many drinks do you have? Were you drunk? And I was like, no.
Whoa.
Sorry,
There it
that's
went.
mine. There it is.
I'm going to eat some brains.
Oh no, shit, son.
Sorry.
Think about all the people that are upset right now that there's not zombies everywhere. They're like, damn it,
Dude,
thought that was the one.
I'd just be pissed if I was
Sorry.
taking
I
a
really
nap.
thought that was the one.
I thought it was going to happen at 1:30.
You're good.
We had 12 minutes.
You're good.
Sorry.
My phone's right.
But no, yeah, that, I mean that's
I left
that's
it
what
on.
that's what I've been
I had
thinking the whole
something
time
else.
too.
just a
is
minor
like,
heart attack.
like all these, all of these like very specific like details. Like it's just not like you would think that you would like. I don't know what you would think, but you would think that like as soon as you pull the trigger, like you just wake up in the hospital or something. It's like no, there was like a very specific like.
Well, I miss. I'm actually a pretty good shot too, but I missed.
Well, it's a good thing you want a good shot then.
Right. Yeah, I missed my brain, missed my eyes. Obviously, I got all this.
Yeah.
But they did a really good job of putting my face
So
back
just
together.
like straight up through there.
Yeah. So take
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
But
You see where they had the trach in and
Mm-hmm.
stuff too.
So is that what that's what that is?
yep.
Gotcha.
And I actually recently just had no surgery. That's the surgery that I was telling you
You were
about.
waiting on, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have like probably a few more.
Oh.
One because I was like missing. Actually, come to find out, there's like a hole about this, probably the size of my pinky finger or my pinky nail, in my septum. So, like, it's hard to explain, but I have to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard almost to like blow my nose or breathe. And that's why I sound kind of nasally, is because I have a hole in my septum, which they're trying to fix. But he put some cartilage here to kind of build up the bridge. It looks a lot better than it did, but we're just going to have some revisions like this. It's all scar tissue here. You can probably see some scars here, but yeah, I've had quite a few surgeries from that. But yeah, so I get into the ambulance, and of course they're talking to me, and they had me laying down, And, earlier I tried laying down, choking on my blood. So I'm over here choking.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to sit up. And they're like, nope, lay down, lay down. And, I kept fighting them because I couldn't breathe. So I was choking. So then they just intubated me. They kind of, basically at that point, gave me something, sedated me, intubated me. And the next thing I know, I'm waking up
In the hospital.
in a hospital bed. Yeah. I'm thinking like, what happened? What, not what happened, but like,
Just the what the fuck.
how? Why did I do that? How did I get to that point? And then like when I woke up, I was just like, well, I think this is what they call rock bottom. Yeah.
I'd say so.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
holy shit, man. I'm gonna tell you what, and it's just wild to hear how vividly you remember everything. Like I recall my thing, and like how vivid I did too. And it's powerful to be able to share that. And I think there's a lot of power in that. Like you're able to paint this wild picture and like describe it like that. But you're one of very few people that get to actually describe that situation in life. Like, the fact that you are able to describe it to us today is like pretty fucking insane.
Wild.
Yeah.
And obviously we're blessed you're able to, and we're grateful that you're here doing that.
Yeah.
And I think, before moving into like the impact that could have, obviously I want to hear more, but I guess what we were talking about earlier is just like like you talked about that. Could you elaborate any more on like that feeling you had when you did pull the trigger? Because, like I think
We were talking about somebody like jumps off a building.
Like, I think I've been at the point where like, I've never been suicidal, but I've been like, man, I want to die. Right. But it's just like, I don't know if you could describe that feeling of like, damn, like pulling the trigger, like how you felt internally. Right. Because that's so far.
You actually went
0 to
there.
100.
Yeah, because
Real fast.
most people don't make it to that point.
Yeah.
To actually do it.
Or they plan and contemplate it, and like if I were to, how would it?
You actually follow through.
A lot of people that do jump, they usually that have survived usually describe like as soon as they get free from the ledge that they immediately regret it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's
can't
kind
really
of
stop a bullet though.
right. That's kind of like what we're.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, 9mm bullets are not vitamins. I do not recommend.
She said they're not vitamins.
Do not recommend.
I mean, it's beautiful that you're able to add humor to your situation like
Definitely.
that. Like,
Yeah.
it
it makes some people uncomfortable. So,
No, definitely.
but
no, I mean, we talk about pretty uncomfortable things all the time around here. So,
But yeah,
I
definitely.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
What is that? What was that feeling like? Like realizing that it didn't happen, and that you were.
when at that time or now? Or?
Yeah, I guess like he was asking like right as you went to do it,
You were just that far in the hole, like you can't put it more than that.
Yeah, it was a like
You said like a possession.
like
That's interesting.
it was very impulsive, and I was so mad that
for anger.
yeah, I was so upset and angry and lonely, and like let me give you a little mini backstory sidetrack real quick. My parents actually had just moved from Memphis to Jacksonville.
Okay.
So all my friends were my coworkers. So talking about depression and loneliness, and like, I didn't know that I was suppressed. I just thought that I was having relationship problems. I didn't know that it was that serious until like after the fact. And then I woke up in the hospital and was like, people probably think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I'm worried about I was kind of worried about what other people were thinking about me. But at that point, I kind of was like, screw it. I did it. Here we are. I can't change it. Where do we go from here? But coming back to the other point, I can't remember what I was actually saying before I sidetracked.
No, you're good. We were just talking about the mindset.
That mindset, that feeling,
yeah.
that possession.
Going to that.
Yeah, it was very impulsive. I knew that if I didn't do it, it wouldn't happen, and I I don't know. It's just that, that feeling that you get that you want
Yeah.
to just punch a bag. Yeah.
Like as far as, because you were like, if I don't do this, nothing's going to change. Like almost, I'd imagine maybe, or like it's just going to be the same cycle.
Well, that and like I had never felt like that before. I never felt so lonely and like wondering how somebody with such a great life, could feel that way. And I didn't know what it was. I couldn't put my emotions into words on how I felt.
Feel like totally suffocated by the situation, like just totally overwhelmed.
Yeah, and like I just didn't want to feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
I get that.
So it's like, I guess the quickest way to do that, well,
Oh, yeah, I get that. I mean, well, I want to touch on that more, but so we get to the point you're in the hospital, right? And, so like afterward, like what was the, obviously, what the repercussions are, but wake up in the hospital, like what the fuck? But then you accept it. So what I'm curious about is, what happened after following that, and, how did you come back from that? Because I'd imagine that's probably like the most difficult part.
A lot of time. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Still kind of going through it. Not like the sad parts. We all have sad moments, but acceptance is a big one. Forgiveness is another one. Grace, like all those things. But in the hospital, it's like, well, I didn't even know what I looked like.
What was the extent of the damage, by the way, if you don't mind?
Oh, no, I don't mind. By the way, like I told him, any question,
he was
like,
telling me, yeah.
ask it.
I'm just curious, like from where you ended up coming back from, if we could just get like a picture of what the damage, like the extent of what you're going to have to overcome at this point.
Bones were broken. My jaw, they wired my jaw shut. And my eyes sockets were like, so I woke up in the hospital, right? I had stitches here, my eyes, of course, here. And like, they did the best they could to put me back together to save my life, not to help me look better, right? And then a few days after I get and wake up in the hospital, my body, of course, is all swollen, trying to protect itself. My eyes, like my face starts drooping. Well, they had to go in, I had to go in for a surgery and for them to hold my cheekbones in place because my eyes were drooping. That's why, my nose is crooked. So multiple bones were broken in my face. Of course, I had a trach, jaw was wired shut, had a peg tube. So, is that where you're kind of going with that? Okay.
100%, yeah.
Okay. I have a metal or titanium all right here holding my jaw together. Of course, I have some pins. I'll show you an X-ray if you guys want to see it. It's actually really, really cool. But you can see pieces of bullet fragments still is left in there. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. But I really want this titanium piece, it's like a bracelet. Yeah. But yeah, except it's like 15 grand.
Oh shit.
Yes. Well, actually,
What would they replace it with?
Well, I'm saying as a one of the surgeons actually had titanium bracelet. Sorry, I meant to say that.
No, you're good.
But it was the same.
Gotcha.
Exact same thing that they put here. So I have a few pins along with that titanium bracelet. It looks like almost like braces, like a little like a chain, but it's titanium here. Have some metal up here. I'm missing some teeth, obviously. I showed you guys that earlier, but I had missing a big chunk of bone, cheekbone right here. Of course, my nose is destroyed. One side was closed. I'm missing pretty much my entire septum, almost. What else? Missing half a tongue. They actually sewed it down so that, I was missing a palate, soft palate.
Oh, really?
Jeez.
So I had no palate, no soft palate. So they sewed my tongue down, what was left of it anyways. They sewed it down so that I wouldn't try and, if I lifted my tongue, I would be up in my nasal cavity. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it was pretty gnarly.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I was in the hospital recovering for about 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Probably I had many sponge baths, but one shower. And it was like right before I got out. Talking about the hospital like it was a prison. Kind of was. Right before they released me. My mom flew, of course. She flew in. And I think Madison the cops actually had called my mom, woke her up in the middle of the night. She was just like, what? Hold on. She was asleep. And they're like, yeah, Cassandra, you're Cassandra Boyer, told her what happened. She just was in shock. She was like, what? Like, almost like, you have the right number? So she flew in. She told my dad flew in. And yeah, so sorry, you were talking about I'm trying to think of what else.
The only other question I had real quick was there a point at that point while you were in the hospital where it was still like fatal? Like, was there a chance that you weren't going to make it at any point?
A few times.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Like if they didn't go in to do surgeries or, if they didn't do this or that, then this could happen.
Right.
But I wasn't like on life support or anything.
But you definitely weren't out of the woods by any means because you had to have those.
The doctors were like, yeah, you have a long recovery of like years. And I was just like, oh, fuck. Well, all right, let's start.
Yeah.
What's first?
So we're talking about the recovery aspect of it. And I think what I really want to, a couple things I really want to hit on, before we close today, right, is obviously you had to go through recovery. And I think the physical stuff is the physical stuff. Like, yeah, that's pretty cut and dry. Like, it's going to take a long time. You're going to have to go through surgeries, this and that. But
looking different.
Yeah, exactly. And so I wonder the mental perspective. Like, how did you move forward as far as like growing and learning to love yourself after the fact, and given like post surgeries and all that stuff? Like, how do you bounce back from that here and grow from it and have the perspective you do now?
Yeah. I think trying to figure out why I was in that place, and figuring out, okay, I don't know how to love myself. What does that look like? I need to learn how to do that, because I don't think I was shown that when I was younger. Like, they don't teach you how to love yourself, right? Like, they can show you love and they can show somebody else love, but how do you show yourself love?
Yeah.
So that was a huge, huge part of it, having grace on myself. Also, it was very hard for me to look in the mirror and accept what I looked like, and how different I look from before. Like, a lot of people are like, no, you don't really look a whole lot different. I'm like, trust me, I do. For me, at least.
Yeah.
But I've accepted that, right? I'm not going to live in the past. I can't change it.
Yeah.
So moving forward, make the best out of today, and so on and so forth. But the main thing that helped me was feeling and seeing and witnessing and experiencing the love that my mother showed me after the fact, like taking care of me and, I mean, I couldn't take care of myself.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I was released from the hospital, I moved down to Jacksonville, and my mom was taking care of me for about a year. Well, maybe not that long, like as hands-on as she was for the first probably 6 months, because I still had surgeries after that. So she was still having to take care of me and visit me in the hospital after those surgeries in Jacksonville. But I would say the things that helped me the most was figuring out how to love myself and what that looks like. So having grace on myself. Anytime I felt like, you know, I'm no longer beautiful. I'm never gonna get loved by anybody ever again. Like, I'm gonna be single for the rest of my life. Nobody can love me.
Yeah.
And realizing that, I was like, well, that's not really true.
Yeah.
But it was like trying to understand that wasn't true was a really hard pill for me to swallow.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, I mean, it got to the point where I had to write "You are beautiful" on my mirror as like a reminder. Just even if I didn't believe it when I read it, I was just like, okay, you are beautiful. Yeah, whatever. You know, like, no, it's not true. But seeing that every day, that helped. And feeling the things that I was feeling, like sad. I was sad all the time. I was sad from the fact that I looked different and that I talked different, and I made like most of my face is numb.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of nerve damage here too from surgery for my soft palate. But yeah, I can't feel a lot of my face, and so knowing that I may never get feeling back in my face again, that was a hard pill for me to swallow too.
But if you ever get in a fight, you know, you're gonna be like, didn't feel it. You know, like, you gotta try that again.
Nice. Yeah. You don't even know who you just picked a fight with, buddy.
Actually, yeah, my ex, I started dating a guy a couple months back. He's a really good guy. We would make jokes about, like earlier I said, 9mm bullets are not vitamins. Like, he would kind of throw some, like, he would tease me a little bit.
Yeah.
And at first I'd be so shocked, like, I can't believe that you just said that. Like, I'm not hurt by it, but the audacity, like, to say that. And yeah, so I guess he kind of helped me, like, bring light to the situation.
That's always positive when you can bring light to very dark things that especially are, you know, relevant to your life, like things you've been through. It's like, I don't know. I've always tried to find humor.
Laughter's the best medicine, right?
Yeah, I mean,
they always say.
yeah. I mean, what else are you gonna do? Like, sulk about it? Like, might as well fucking laugh at it.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, I'm, you know, the normal events around me they continued, like holidays continue. Obviously, time didn't stand still because I was recovering.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to figure out how to move forward, and I would put on a face like, okay, this is me trying to get over it. Even though I don't want to be here, I'm going to try to be here. I was tired all the time, but I tried my absolute best to, okay, I'm resilient. I'm having grace on myself. But the only way for me to get to a place, like, the only way for me to take a step forward is if I push myself forward. So that's what I had to do. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start walking. I started going on walks because I lost like 30 pounds, 35 pounds of skin and bone. So I had to, like, figure out how to move again. And so having grace is a big part. Getting out also in nature, which I know that you guys are big on.
Yeah.
It should be talked about more.
Oh yeah.
Getting outside, even like if you're just like, I want to stay in bed and I'm depressed and I know that I'm depressed. First of all, the fact that you can recognize those feelings and those thoughts and be like, okay, I'm aware of how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
What am I going to do about it? Is it okay? Like, do I accept that I feel this way? Okay, if I do, all right, cool. I'm going to have that feeling, and I know that that feeling won't last very long. And I'm going to accept that feeling and move on.
Yeah.
So getting out in nature, I know I'm jumping back and forth, but yeah, getting out in nature, even if it's for like 5 minutes, is what I would tell somebody if they were like, I'm in a rut, you know, what do I do? I'm feeling depressed. Like, force yourself. I don't care how hard it is. Force yourself to get out. Even if it's nighttime, it's raining, walk outside, shut the door behind you, and just stand there.
Yeah.
5 minutes. Set a timer on your phone. Maybe take your shoes off. Walk around the grass. 5 minutes. Like, you will come back. Like, those 5 minutes will make more of a difference than if you're like, I just want to sleep for 5 minutes more.
You're
you
like,
know?
yeah.
It'll do so much more, especially if you do that every day. So that helped. And focusing on recovering was, I mean, that's a kind of a loaded word, recovering, because all of it's kind of recovery. But
The physical, the mental, all of it is just one big thing, you know. And there's a couple things I focused on there that you said. Like, one, self-awareness key. You know, like, you can be going through anything, but if you can be self-aware, that's totally, like, you can have all kinds of crazy negative emotions, right? But a lot of times people just act on those, or, you know, and those cause impulses, right? But being able to, like, no, this is my action, or this is how I'm feeling, I need to correct that. That's a huge move. And then, you know, actually talking about actually feeling your emotions rather than letting them overcome you and take over and cause you to do something crazy. You actually felt that sadness out in a different way, which is, you know, people are like, oh, I feel sad, but like, do you really feel that emotion? And like, kind of just sitting there with it and embracing it in a way.
if you have to write it down. Just like kind of open it, like, okay, why am I feeling these things? Why am I sad? Is it really sad? Am I upset? Am I angry about something? Why? You know? And just, what's the word I'm looking for? Digesting.
Peeling back the layers.
Yeah. Like,
dissecting it, picking it
dissecting
apart.
That's the word I was looking for, not digesting it.
Digest it. Eat it down. Eat it all. Swallow it whole.
But no, dissecting where that's coming from. For sure.
Yeah, Eckhart Tolle actually talks about that.
Oh, really?
Being present. And that's what I took notes on, just being present. Like, he talks a lot. If you haven't read the book, actually, I brought you a copy of it.
Hell
so
yeah.
you can have it. Yeah.
Sweet.
It's a very heavy read.
Okay. Cool with that.
I had to read it twice, and then I had to read it a third time with the audiobook and reading it at the same time. Like, in order for me to, it's a heavy read.
Yeah.
What book are we talking about?
It's called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle.
Gotcha.
Sweet. Looking forward to that.
He talks about the ego and how that comes about, and how the ego perceives certain things in the world, and the pain body. He talks a lot about the pain body, and when the pain body experiences something. Anyways, I could go on. We could talk hours about that, so I'm not going to dive into that. You should just read it. But he does talk about being present, and you, in order to like truly be happy and content and like your true self, or aware, is being present.
Yeah.
And so one thing that, after reading that book, I read that book going through my recovery, and it helped me understand, okay, if I'm feeling really sad, you know, why am I feeling sad? Okay, hold on, you know, instead of spiraling with those emotions and just being out of control with my emotions, sitting there and being like, okay, hang on. Take 3 deep, meaningful breaths.
Yeah.
And that, because you can't, that pulls you out of that spiraling negative train of thought. It takes you out of that, and then you can kind of reassess the situation.
Yeah.
And because you can't be thinking about that and be present at the same, or you can't be thinking about that and be present at the same time while you're breathing.
Yeah.
If you're
yeah.
focusing on your breath. I know it's kind of cheesy, like, oh, be present, be more
No,
present in
it's-
the moment, but it's,
No, yeah, I'm a big believer.
I've
in
had
that
to
too,
reflect on that a lot lately.
Yeah.
Especially with all the chaos, right? So that's important.
but yeah, sorry. So,
No,
No,
don't
that was
apologize.
perfect.
Like
Yeah,
that's
you're good.
That's what we
That was
wanted to
perfect.
hear. I mean, and that's because a lot of people can learn from that. I mean, those are like the steps you've taken after such an event, right? And I do have a couple more little because I want you want to go ahead and like
no, like that's actually kind of,
part
Yeah.
of it. Okay. No, I think those are like amazing steps. And another thing too, and is like I was thinking about like your current perspective, and I think we've gained what your perspective is now, just from everything you've said. And I think kind of I can relate to the near death thing, right? Like the perspective you gain and the gratitude you gain for life, and actually how the way you view life. I'm curious on that because I just look at it. It's just such a beautiful thing, and it's such an opportunity. And having gone through what I've gone through, I look at it through a completely new lens, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, right? And because I'm just so grateful. And you talked about, to go with that, you talked about feeling alone like you did, but you saw how much your mother was there for you and how badly you needed it, and then you probably realized like, man, I'm not alone. Like I never was, but at that time you were absent of that. So, well, I guess kind of wondering, what's your perspective on the world now and life in general? If that makes sense.
No, yeah, definitely.
yeah. I have, of course, a different outlook on life. But it has helped me, one, be aware and be present and not worry as much. Because if you're worrying, you're thinking about a problem, you're trying to solve a problem. But if you're worrying, you're actually just making your problem more problematic. You're not solving anything. So I like remembering that anytime I'm worrying or stressing out, like they say, like, did you die though? They say that phrase, like, oh, did you die though? Like, really,
Yeah.
did you die though? Like, are you still alive? Yeah. Okay. Then why are you stressing out? Why are you worrying?
Yeah.
Especially if it's out of your control.
Oh man, that's something that's awesome. It reminds me of I believe it was Marcus Aurelius said like something along the lines of, why worry about things that haven't happened yet? And that's the whole thing. It's just, I had somebody ask me, he was like, how do you just keep going forward with it? Everything going on in the world? How do you just keep going forward with what you do? And I'm like, well, because I can control that. Like all these other things, they're there, and I'm aware of it, but I'm also like, why worry about something that I can't control? I know what I can do, and I know how I can move forward, right? And so, and I think it's an awesome perspective. Like, worry, just you can spend your whole life worrying about things that probably, like, good chance probably won't fucking happen. The world can end tomorrow or can end 200 years from now. At the end of the day, like, if you're worried about this thing that's going to happen 200 years from now, then you're fucking wasted that lifetime and that one opportunity you had to do. You had to do something great.
Also, I feel like you'd be really tired by the end of the day.
Yeah, no, that's 100%.
You're worrying about all of this, like, whoa.
Yeah. Your boy Bob Marley says, in every life, expect some trouble, but if you worry, you make it double.
How's he my boy? You saying I'm just kidding.
I'm saying, my boy, Bob Marley's that guy. But in all seriousness, though, like, along with that, what you were saying, too, about you may be worried about things that never happen. And even if it does happen, you suffer twice.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't remember the phrase I can't remember the actual phrase, but it's like basically worrying makes you suffer twice.
There's also another phrase, I got to pull it up real quick.
You're good.
I wrote it down.
Oh, yeah.
You're good.
It's, where is it? Whatever you fight, you strengthen, and whatever you resist persists. That kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
But like, you're fighting something, like if you're struggling with something, like your emotions, right? You're fighting feeling sad. You're like, oh, I shouldn't feel sad, or if you're whatever it is, you're fighting an emotion. You're prolonging it. Like feel the things and not stress about this. Like if you're sad, feel sad, then okay, then move on. You know? But
yeah, I love that.
That's
Whatever
effort
you're fighting.
solely.
Okay, sweet. I'm stoked for this now.
Yeah.
You're gonna have me like in my studies and shit. Couple more things, So moving
about 10
forward
minutes
with your
or so.
life. Okay. Moving forward, and I do want to know if there's anything you really want to get out, and this may go along with it. Why share your story? Like, what, obviously, because you had to put in the effort to be here, and that means a lot for us, by the way, and it's powerful. I mean, there's so much power in that, and even if you
I'm honored to be here.
yeah, hey, very stoked. We're honored to have you. So, but why? What moved you to want to jump and share it? And two, what impact do you hope to make?
Ooh, that's a good question. What made me want to share it? I feel like a lot of people that know me, that know what happened, talking to me, they're like, they have this realization like, oh, I can't believe you went through that, It's just so profound that, of course, it kind of comes out of left field. Like I try to shoot myself in the head and I live to tell this tale, That doesn't happen every day.
No.
So why share my story? I feel like if I can just help one person, just one, I call it a win. Yeah. If I could just help save one life, even if it's not saving a life, if it's helping someone else help someone save a life, I call that a win, because it's a dark place to be, and mental health has become more prevalent, like talk, which I think is great. But
You have Butterfingers over here the last couple episodes. I don't know what's going on.
But yeah, I just want to help somebody. I don't know how. I don't know how I'm going to do that. And if this episode helps somebody, then hell yeah.
Yeah.
But with your second question was, what do I hope to get out of it?
Or
What impact do you hope to make?
Yeah, what impact do you hope to make? But also, maybe, I guess, what do you have to get out of it is pretty much goes along with that too, helping that person, right? Whoever it may be. But yeah.
I don't know. I hope I make a really, really, really big disturbance and big wave that people are like, whoa. I don't know. I want to have an impact on a lot of people's lives. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Well, I feel like this is a great start, though.
100%.
100%. Your story is the start to that. Take my story, and my story created Relentless Pursuit.
Right.
And here we are today, right? And then now we got you sharing your story because you have such a rare, unique story.
Exactly.
And it's like, man,
you
why
use your
not
story to create that platform to be able to tell her story, and it's like the ripples are.
Yeah, why not use this thing as an opportunity? Steve talked about losing his leg, being an addict. Like he looked at it as an opportunity, and we talk about that. Like you have an opportunity to create a lot of beautiful things from that, and it's like, why the hell not? Like it's such a rarity, and so that's really cool. And I think this is a step in the right direction as far as that goes. So our hopes, obviously there's no promises, right? But our hopes is that this does get out there and it reaches several people, and that it gives you a step in the right direction. And now here you are, and you're comfortable. Like now you're talking about it and you're putting it out there, and it's going to go all over the internet. Yeah. So hell yeah.
Well, we got about 5 minutes. I just want to ask you, maybe to everything that you're saying, do you have maybe something that you could speak directly to? You could use yourself as a vessel if you'd like, but directly to yourself that was going through it at that time, or somebody else that's in those shoes at the moment. Do you have anything you would want to directly say to them other than just sharing your story?
You have people rooting for you. You have people that love you. You may not think so, but you do. And if you gotta talk to somebody, if you don't have anybody, you still have somebody. You can reach out to me.
Right.
You know, I may not. I don't know everything.
Yeah.
I'm not claiming to know everything, but I feel like if I can help you in any way, like I want to be able to help you in some way. But I feel like if you got to talk to somebody about it. Use nature, but yeah, I just feel like
Talk to somebody.
yeah. It's not the end of the world. It's not that bad, you know. Yeah.
You matter, you know. I got a shirt for you. I'm gonna give you one.
Hell
It goes perfectly with that, you know.
It does.
And that's awesome. And you don't maybe not know everything, and why claim that? Nobody knows everything, right? But
definitely don't.
you had the experience.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's enough right there to do something with.
When those people just being told that they're not alone when they feel that way is huge. Just being told that when you feel that way.
Yeah.
Because you really will convince yourself like that
Simple things.
you are isolated and that you are alone and just
The mind is a powerful thing.
It's just like
100%.
writing "you're beautiful"
Yeah.
on your mirror every day, and then finally, like, oh my God, like I am.
I love that you said that because like it drives me nuts when people will shit on stuff like that, and I'm like, dude, all I know is that a lot of people that I know it works for, and I'm gonna take their word for it. Like
You're like manifesting it that way.
yeah, manifest.
Yeah.
And people make fun of that kind of stuff, and I'm like,
It didn't make me feel beautiful, but it helped me accept the fact that
Yeah.
I can't go back to what, like, all right, here. There are ugly people that walk the earth every day, and they don't know that they're ugly. So I know that that's kind of harsh, but I was told that. Somebody told me that, and I was like, you're right.
you can choose
Absolutely.
to believe.
They're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, beautiful looks different in many forms.
Yes. 100%.
So
Love that. Well, we're finishing up here, and moving forward in life, you're going to be traveling around Tennessee for a few days with some friends. But like moving forward, what's next? Just briefly, what's next for you? What's your relentless pursuit? If you don't know, that's fine. You're just riding it. You got an answer to that.
What's next? I don't know. Making money, saving up money to go do more fun things like this, visit more people, continue to focus on myself, put myself first, and build strong relationships with other people around me that as much as I can, as best I can.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Moving forward, you're just here for the journey.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're excited for you, and we're excited to see what comes from this and just watch you grow along the way. And so glad things have come full circle, and we're making this connection now because, obviously I'm definitely going to be trying to get you connected with RP, down the road and things we may do. So
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you for being here. Anything else before we exit?
No, I think that's it. Go read that book.
All right. Yes. I'll be sharing it on my shit.
Yeah.
So thank you, Cassie.
Thank you.
It was an honor. We got nothing but love for you here. And Logan, thank you as always.
Yeah, thank
See
you.
you guys next time.
All right.